Hi, I'm Adam Rubenstein, CEO and co-founder of Track, and today I'm interviewing Todd Thibodeaux. Todd, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Thank you, Adam. So I work for the Rector Group. I'm one of the partners. We work for a group of syndicate of investors where we are invested in several different types of organizations in which we have sales groups, unique technology platforms, etc., in many different business sectors.
So let's start from the beginning, Todd. What were you doing to improve your sales team's performance, both in sales and account management, before we started working together at Track?
We were doing most of the usual stuff, quarterly reviews. I would go through with the head of sales and get to the granular level, which basically would tell me that what they were forecasting and where they really were in an account didn't match up. We also used sales training programs, hired a third party to come in and create a sales mechanism, if you will, but really never got a true hold of both the analytics and exactly what was truly going on in accounts, which was fostered or improved vastly by the adoption of track.
So, Todd, what was the main reason you hadn't changed what you were doing before you started using Track?
Much of what we looked at hadn't changed over the years. A lot of the legacy products were the same old, same old. And we didn't feel that there was anything in market that would improve on what we were already doing. There wasn't innovation, if you will, in the sales process.
So, how did you first hear about Track?
Late one evening, I had heard there were new sales tools out in market, and I happened to arrive at Track, and I think it was called Track 365 back then, if I recall correctly. There was a free trial, no credit card needed, etc. So I took a whirl on it, and it was easy to deploy personally. It was easy to use, and I was surprised the accuracy of the data it was feeding back with not too much data going in.
So, what concerns or reservations did you initially have about using Track?
The usual one in some of the accounts that we would leverage technology was around the recording and getting past the nuance of recording the conversation. That said, with the advent of COVID and everything going to remote access and Zoom calls, the recording of these conversations became a standard in industry. So whether you're on Zoom or Teams or whatever it is, that it lets you know you're being recording, and it's, I believe now in industry, it's part of a standard operating procedure. The second part of that you asked is initially I thought the sales teams would be resistant in taking on another set of responsibilities and or a new technology. And we found that we had pretty easy adoption because it was very easy to deploy and very easy to use. And beyond that, they had tremendous insights and valuable information that was being represented to them that they didn't have to do manually. So it allowed them to be better listeners in conversations. And then as time went on, they in several different companies, they become very heavily reliant on the tool as a sales mechanism and would probably revolt if we took it away. So they like it. Adoption was good.
Fantastic. And you'd mentioned several companies. Can you give us a brief, tell us a little bit about the type or size of companies that you
Sure.
deploy Track in?
Yep. Some of them are on the smaller side, but they have a long sales process, and others are being utilized internally, but they will deploy to larger customer bases once we roll it out. So that the first company has about 35 employees. They're based in the UK. There are about 10 to 12 account managers that currently use it. The company is in the ophthalmic space. and manages the customer experience with the treatment of the eye. And we've had phenomenal results with it. What we noticed was we use it now as part of the coaching where we have our, lack of better term, our type A salespeople that we're using their methodologies that we're learning from the data that Track feeds us to help better train and garner better results from our B and C players that are helping us close a lot more business in a shorter period of time, mimicking the A type players.
That's great to hear. Well, thank you for sharing that. Now, so what was the main reason you decided to go with track?
We had been looking for something to help us be more accurate in how we analyze data. And data has become king, as you know. And in looking at a couple different platforms out in the market, we felt the ease of use and the improved analysis of the data that Trax provides. That's why we went with the product. And over time, you've added, I won't call them features, I'll call them benefits to the technology, such as Ask Ava, which has been an incredible tool for us where we can actually ask questions about the conference call we just had. And Ava lets us know exactly what she feels the important outcomes of that question are and how we follow up. It's making our salespeople look a whole lot better in follow up and also in querying the data to get more finite answers in what we're looking to do. And then on the back end of the house, you and your team have listened to our feedback from the field regarding whether it's other languages, whether it's able to drag and drop information in, et cetera, has been a real game changer for us. And then the company's approach to address some of the challenge areas that we have and kind of jointly adopt to new methodology. So it's nice to have a partner in technology that listens to feedback from the field. And then in some cases, if it's a narrative that you're hearing from multiple users, not just our companies and others, you normally adopt it or trying to include it in the solution, which we very much appreciate.
Well, thank you very much for that. That's great to hear. Todd, can you share with us what areas you've gained the most value from using track?
Sure. One of the areas that has been phenomenal is the customized AI that you guys provide. And we are able to query conversations very accurately, twofold. One, to learn where a sales process has maybe stalled and the data correlation across multiple people will help highlight that through your AI. And then beyond that, having the ability to finally have data and metrics that don't lie. And that's maybe the wrong word, but sales people are always the glass is half full and the deal's about to close. With the advent of the detail of the information and data that Track is gathering, I have defensible metrics to let the sales people know that they indeed are not at 80% of closure on the deal, et cetera. So the byproduct of that, it's given us much, much more accurate forecasting. So our use of funds, et cetera, are a great deal more accurate. And then beyond that, we have, and I think I mentioned it in another question, we have been able to grab data that mimics the best performers on our team and use that to improve everybody's sales process in general. So our effective closure rate is higher and getting through the sales process is vastly improved.
Thank you. So, Todd, how soon did you start seeing improvements in your business from using track?
Good question. So in some of our businesses where we already had recorded conversations, recorded Zooms, et cetera, where we were able to preload a lot of the information and put our keywords in, et cetera. It took maybe 10 days and we were very accurate on the results. And that was it where we already owned a fair amount of information that Track was able to learn. Some of the other systems out in the market don't allow you to do that. So by putting legacy information in there, it made it that much smarter. And then on some of the ones where it was net new information, 15 to 20 to 30 days where the system was very, very accurate and was giving us feedback that we hadn't even contemplated or realized where we were failing. So it's very good illuminating areas that you currently might not be contemplating as issues, but it'll highlight it. And by going in and making changes at those levels, it improved the overall sales process. So the data is good. Better data in, better data out.
Great. Thank you. So, Todd, how does Crack change the way your sales teams work?
So a couple different things. For the sales manager and for the CRO, the chief revenue officer, it allows us to present a single pane of glass that gives us very accurate progress on each of the different salespeople. One. Number two, beyond that, it has made, in a lot of cases, the sales cycle much, much shorter because a lot of the questions that we're asking were the wrong questions, and Track helped us get to, this is really what the people want to know. And then we became much better in our rebuttal questions based on the feedback from Track. And then beyond that, when we could go in and ask Gabe very specific questions, it really gave us a much better roadmap for the start to close of the sale. So at a high level, it shortened the sales process. So time to money has been much shorter. Accuracy and forecasting is much, much better. And we're realizing where we need improvement as part of the sales process, including follow-ups, including how we represent information. So Track has helped in all of those. It's like having a personal sales and BD coach, with you all the time.
Th-
So we like it.
Thank you. Todd, what other types of situations or use cases do you think would benefit from using Track?
So aside from the general better sales communication, better accuracy in speaking to the clients and all that, we've had a couple different areas that we use it on. Most recently for me is the desktop app that if I get an impromptu Team, Zoom, whatever it is, I can record the call and I can really pay attention to the Zoom without having to take notes. And the transcription and accuracy and all that is great. And then more than that, the action items that the system gives. My favorite thing that you have done is when you put it on the mobile app on the phone, that I can go into a meeting, put the phone on the desk, hit record, and I can be very much engaged visually in the conversation. I think it has a couple different byproducts. It shows the people that I'm dealing with that I'm really paying attention. My head isn't down trying to catch up on the notes. My feedback and response to the thank you and what the next steps are from the conversation that we had are much more accurate and much better. In conversation with people, being able to look back at the conversation, I'm like, it allows me to pinpoint some of the things that I really need to focus on, because that is either a pain point or an area of interest for the potential customer. And then in our M&A meetings, they've been great in providing a great ledger of the conversation, the synopsis of it, and highlighting, where we are with the score and everything. So, you can have a bad day. I can have a bad day. The data never lies.
Thank you. That's true. The data never
Yeah.
lies. So, why should someone watching this video take action now rather than waiting?
We all learn by our mistakes, don't we? Nobody wants to be a pioneer, and people normally go with what they know, right? Because that's the least barrier to resistance. Oh, they use it, etc. I was in that same frame of mind. And my recommendation to anybody that sees this is do it sooner than later and do it at the start of the process. So it learns all the data from infancy to mid stage maturation to maturity. And it'll make your whole biz dev sales process, monitoring of performance, et cetera, much, much more accurate. And again, we said it in the other question, the data doesn't lie. So I wish I had not been so hesitant in using something new for all the reasons that we discussed in the prior questions, that adoption, ease of use, you know, once we saw the feedback and accuracy, what it gave us, price didn't even come into it because we've had such good results from leveraging this information that it's invaluable to us.
Okay. Thanks very much. So, Todd, how is Track different from typical call recording software?
Good question. So what we found is there are a lot of products in market that look and feel the same, right? That people say, I already use, some transcription type program. Great. This goes so far beyond that. It is not only transcribing the information, it's analyzing it, and then it's actually helping us drive more sales. It's making our sales process that much more accurate. So, shorten time, better results, everything. And it all equates to better results based on our marketing spend and time to money, which as both as a sales leader and also as the custodian of investment, those are the narratives that you want to hear, that your system is better. You're getting there, less money on the front end, more money on the back end because the system is making us that much more accurate.
Great. Thank you. Are there any other features in Track that are worth mentioning?
I would say, well, the customized AI, in that we are able to very quickly dig into information or areas of concern that it's highlighting. One, I think and this is where I go back to the other question, what should I have done? We should have used it sooner, because I thought it was going to be a big learning curve. I thought it was going to be cumbersome, like some of the other products out there, to deploy and integrate with different APIs and stuff. And it was none of those. Once we had it up and running and going, we saw the benefits early on. And then as we grew with the product and you added stuff like Escava, it's made it a no-brainer for us. And I had one company where the individual in the channel program said, there's Gong and then there's Track, which is King Kong, that does so much more in providing feedback and analytics from which you can improve your sales process drastically.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. So if someone watching this wants to learn more about you and your organization, where can they find you?
Todd Thibodeaux at the Rector Group. It's actually Thibodeaux at therectorgroup.com.
Very good. Well, this has been great chatting with you. Thanks again for joining me today and for your feedback on Track.
You're very welcome. It's a great tool. I suggest people try it. You'll like it and it'll make you better.